C.J.MARKS here, and this is going to be fun. Yes, it is. We have the 2016 runner-up in the World Championship of Public Speaking, and this man came back 3 years later. He's the current world champion of public speaking. You know who I'm talking about. 2019 world champion of public speaking, none other than Aaron Beverly. Aaron, thanks for joining us, brother. Glad we could finally make this happen.
Yeah, thanks for having me, CJ.
Okay, let's just get right to it. First question. You competed in the World Championship of Public Speaking both before and after the regional quarterfinal change to great levels of success before and after. Aaron, to what extent did the regional quarterfinal system change affect your preparation in terms of how you prepared for the competition?
Well, in regards to how I prepared for my speeches, it really didn't change that much. So I still had the same processes that I had put in place years before. So I followed the same preparation practices that I did in 2016. However, the main difference this year was that video quarterfinal. And basically, if you made it to the district, you essentially had to compete in 2 rounds at the same time. So you had the district, which was still more local, still had your more local audience, but you then had to account for an audience that you could not see.
Mm-hmm.
So you had potentially an international audience at the same time as your local audience. So you had to really think about how you would apply your humor, how you would apply the meaning of your messages, because you had to account for people that may not be aware of your local situations or familiar with your local humor. So that is what I took into consideration. And even then, your delivery also had to change. That was the first instance where I really had to address a camera in the room. I made sure that as I was speaking on stage, that I was giving eye contact to the camera. So looking at the lens in the camera, because that is equivalent to giving eye contact to somebody who may be looking at the presentation virtually. Like right now, I have to look at the camera lens to give the perception of eye contact. So that's something else that I had to consider when I was on stage. So the fundamentals didn't change, but the delivery in the moment had to change because of the camera and the audience that was going to be judging the video recording.
Okay, well, you definitely negotiated that and figured it out very well. So kudos to you, Aaron. Well done.
Thank you.
Next question. As we know, in the Toastmasters International Speech Contest, it's about storytelling. Yep. And many of the stories are from the speaker speaking about his or her challenges that they faced in life. Aaron, you do a great job incorporating the challenges of others into your material. How and why have you chosen to take that approach?
Well, honestly, it's something that I didn't consciously think about, to be perfectly honest with you. But that style was actually prevalent in different eras of the speech contest and in public speaking in general. I am a person who wanted to study past world champions and past speech contests. So I actually purchased a DVD set that had the previous 25 years of world champions. This was before 2010. So I purchased this back in 2011. And I looked at the speeches that won over the years. And it was very interesting, especially during the 90s and even early 2000s. There was always some incorporation of other people's stories. So you had people incorporating the stories of world historical figures like Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, and they would put those stories into their speech. Now, in the 2000s, it started to shift and people started to tell more personal stories. So this was just about their personal trials, their personal challenges, and how they had someone who came in and helped them to overcome them, or sometimes they would just overcome them themselves, and they would share how they solved that problem or got over that conflict. With me, I really wanted to focus on what powerful stories that I had. And it just so happened that some of the best stories that I had weren't necessarily about me, they were about other people. But I could tell you how those people and those stories inspired me or changed me. So that was the approach that I took. In 2016, for instance, the best story that I told was the story about the girl named Michelle, whose mother gave her a few encouraging words and how it was extremely memorable for her. Then in 2019, I actually, to get to the World Championship, I told a story about different family stories. So technically, they weren't my stories. They were actually my mother's stories. But I was able to put them into a format that worked for my message, that worked for a lesson that I was trying to teach the audience. So it just goes to show you that there are various ways that you can approach a speech. A lot of people would think that, oh, this is the formula that I need to do in order to win the world championship, or this is the formula that I need to follow to tell a good speech. I don't think that there's a such thing as a formula. I never believe in the way. There's no such thing as the way. There's only a way. And it is up to you to find your way. So I found my way. It wasn't intentional. It just happened, but it happened because of what I had studied in the past and the stories that I felt were more powerful.
Well said. Thank you very much. Well, you definitely found your way, and it worked out very well. Because
yes, I think so.
Oh, I think it did. Yes, it did. Yes, sir. Because that allowed you to accomplish your goal. And let's be honest, brother, you really wanted to be the world champion public speaking. That was a goal of yours. And you achieved that in grand fashion. So from a Toastmastering perspective, Aaron, what motivates you now? What are your goals from a Toastmaster perspective?
Yeah. Well, when it came to the World Championship of Public Speaking, I had made that a goal for years and years and years. But ironically enough, it was in 2019 when I decided to not make it a goal, but just recognize it as a dream that I wanted to accomplish. So I always felt that a goal was something that I could control. So I could control how much work I put in. I could control how I did a certain process, and that would get me to my end goal. But with the World Championship, it's a bit different because I don't necessarily control the outcome. I can increase my chances by doing all of those things that I just mentioned, but it's only through subjectivity from the judging that would make me a world champion. I can't control that, so I decided to say, you know what? I can't make this a goal, but I can make this a dream, but I can control my growth. I can control how I get better. So moving on now to my current situation. So now I am the world champion and I'm thinking, okay, what can I do next? I have to again think, if when it comes to a goal, what can I control? So right now, my main motivation is just providing education to people who need it most. I am trying to get into YouTube now, and I've been releasing videos about public speaking and my journey through the years that I competed in the speech contest. And this has been my new goal. So putting out videos, putting out education, trying to help people. And this has been what I've been focusing on since winning the World Championship of Public Speaking.
Thank you. Let's speak a little bit about that, because so many public speakers charge for everything. They charge just to show up and then promote themselves in their books. You have taken a very different approach. And for those watching this who have yet to subscribe to Aaron Beverly's YouTube page, you need to do that right now. Okay? Please do. Because
Thank you very much.
You're giving it away for free. That's beautiful. Why? That's very, very contrary to what many other public speakers do. You have chosen to give knowledge away and to make it accessible to all people. Why have you chosen that route, Aaron?
Well, it was really a dilemma at first, because when I first wanted to be the world champion of public speaking, when I first had it as my goal, I wanted to win the world championship of public speaking so that I could command a high fee for speaking engagements, so that I could charge people for coaching, so that I could write a book and sell it. But over the years, as I matured, and I realized the power that public speaking had on my life, I started to rethink that. And I really started to rethink how I was when I first started, when I first got into public speaking, and when I first needed public speaking to help me in my career and in my life. It was back during the Great Recession. So this was back in 2009 when the Great Recession had just come through and just totally devastated the financial world. I came out of college with zero job prospects, and I needed to find a way to get a leg up. Now, I knew public speaking and getting better at public speaking was something that was going to help me. And it would help me get a leg up. It would help me get something good on my resume, and it could help me get a job. But there wasn't a lot of information about how to get better at public speaking. And anything that I could find was hidden behind a paywall. It was hidden behind paywalls that were $500 and were thousands of dollars.
Yes.
And as a person who just came out of college with no job prospects, I can't afford that. Toastmasters really helped me, and I felt that Toastmasters was a great resource. But when it came to gathering more knowledge and gathering more information, it just wasn't in existence. So fast forward to me becoming a more prominent public speaker and getting better at public speaking and building a reputation as a quality public speaker, I really started to think, why should I be hypocritical when we're now in a new recession? So there's probably another person who's just coming out of college with zero job prospects, and they know that public speaking is going to be something that they know will give them a leg up on the competition when it comes to getting a job. So I don't want them to be in the same position that I was in. I want them to be able to find somebody who is going to give them the education and have them run with that knowledge and do what they will with it. Now, I do separate education from what I call guided application. So if you need the coaching, if you need the guided application, that's a whole different story. That's something that I believe you should pay for because you're paying for the person's time. But when it just comes to education, I believe education should be either free or insanely cheap or cost efficient, like Toastmasters International is. So that is the reason why I've been doing what I'm doing, why I use my social media platforms to put out public speaking education and tips and tricks, etc. And that has been my mission. I one day want to create a online platform where people can go and learn various types of public speaking and it not cost them hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Well said. Well, I just personally need to thank you because I'm one of the many people you've helped, not just from a professional becoming a better speaker, but the thinking about why we do it and what you just said in terms of not having to charge a lot. So thank you for that, Aaron. Next question I have, be it a keynote address, a workshop, or speech competition, how do you stay cool, calm, and relaxed before taking the stage? And what are some tips and advice you may have for others to stay cool, calm, and relaxed before taking the stage?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to handling your nervousness, handling your anxiety, there are various things that you can do. For me, the best thing that I do to help calm my nerves is just